secret garden of wonders.
In the heart of Cloverwood Forest, where sunlight sparkled like golden dust and gentle breezes whispered through the leaves, lived a young, endlessly curious rabbit named Willow. Willow was not like the other rabbits in the forest. While they spent their days nibbling clover and hopping along familiar paths, Willow's heart longed for adventure, for the secrets that hid behind mossy rocks and under twisted roots. One crisp morning, when the dew still clung to every blade of grass and the air smelled faintly of wildflowers, Willow awoke with a thrill in her chest. Her long ears twitched, her soft paws itched to explore, and her little nose quivered with anticipation. "Today is perfect for a new adventure," she whispered to herself, hopping out of her burrow and down the winding forest trail. As she wandered deeper into the forest, the sounds of the world seemed to shift around her. Birds sang in gentle harmonies, and the leaves rustled as if guiding her forward. Then, between two towering oaks, she noticed something she had never seen before, a tall gate, almost hidden by vines and golden autumn leaves. Willow's heart leapt. "Oh, whiskers and clovers! What could be behind this gate?" she exclaimed, her voice trembling with excitement. She approached slowly, her eyes wide with wonder, tracing the curling ivy with her paw. The gate shimmered faintly, almost as if it was alive, welcoming her. With a gentle push, it creaked open, revealing a world that made her gasp. Before her lay a garden unlike anything she had ever imagined. The flowers glowed with soft, sparkling colors, and butterflies with wings like liquid sunlight fluttered in delicate loops above. Streams of crystal-clear water giggled as they tumbled over tiny stones, and soft, golden light bathed the garden in a magical warmth. Willow's whiskers twitched, and she hopped forward, barely daring to breathe. "Welcome, little wanderer," said a soft, musical voice. Willow froze and looked up to see a butterfly shimmering in rainbow colors, its wings sparkling like jewels. "I am Lyra, guardian of the garden. You have found a place of wonders, where every visitor can learn something special." Willow's eyes sparkled. "Learn something special? Like what?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Just then, a large, ancient tree with bark streaked in gold and silver spoke, its deep, gentle voice resonating through the garden. "The magic of this garden, dear Willow, lies not in its beauty, nor in its flowers or streams. The true magic comes from sharing and kindness. When you share what you have, when you bring joy to others, the garden thrives and grows brighter." Willow paused, her heart swelling with understanding. "Then I must bring my friends here," she said eagerly, her paws tapping in excitement. The next morning, she returned with her dearest friends, Pip the hedgehog, small but brave, Luna the squirrel, clever and quick, and Fennel the fox cub, playful and gentle. Together, they wandered through the sparkling garden. They laughed as they tasted the sweet dew from the magical flowers, shared juicy berries that seemed to taste sweeter in the garden, and watched the butterflies perform delicate dances around them. With each act of kindness, helping one another across a tiny stream, letting the others nibble first on a particularly bright berry, sharing stories and giggles, the garden responded. The flowers bloomed brighter, the streams sparkled more, and the air filled with a soft, joyful melody. Willow realized that the garden's magic was alive, and it thrived because of the love and friendship shared within it. Day after day, they returned. Sometimes, they brought new friends, birds, rabbits, hedgehogs, and even shy deer, who had never seen such wonder. Together, they learned that happiness doubled when shared, and that the simplest acts of kindness created the strongest magic. Willow's heart felt light and full, for she knew she had discovered something far more precious than any treasure, the joy of giving and sharing with friends. As the sun set each evening, painting the garden in golden and pink hues, Willow would sit under the ancient tree, watching the glittering butterflies dance and listening to the soft music of the streams. She smiled, knowing the secret of the garden was not just its magic, but the bonds she and her friends had nurtured. And so, the garden of sharing remained forever alive, hidden deep within Cloverwood Forest, its magic sustained by laughter, kindness, and friendship, a magical reminder that the greatest treasures are not those we keep, but those we share.
The giant carrot.
In the heart of Sunnywood Meadow, where wildflowers painted the fields in every color imaginable and the sunlight danced across the grass, lived a small but adventurous rabbit named Oliver. Oliver was not the sort of rabbit who stayed in one place. His days were filled with curiosity, boundless energy, and a constant sense of adventure. One bright morning, as the dew still clung to the flowers and the air smelled faintly of honey and grass, Oliver hopped along a winding path, his little paws making soft thuds against the earth. His nose twitched with excitement, and his eyes sparkled with anticipation. "Today feels like a day for something extraordinary," he whispered to himself. Suddenly, through a patch of bright wildflowers, Oliver's eyes fell upon something enormous. He froze, his little heart thumping in delight. There, partially hidden beneath a swirl of daisies and clovers, lay a carrot unlike any he had ever seen, plump, gleaming, and enormous. "Wow! Oh wow! This is the biggest carrot I've ever seen in my entire life," he squeaked, hopping around it in circles, his tail flicking with excitement. He tried tugging at it with all his might, pulling left, then right, hopping onto it with both paws, but the carrot did not even budge. Oliver scratched his head with one paw. I can't do this alone. I'll need some help," he muttered thoughtfully, his mind racing with ideas. Not far away, under the shade of a sprawling oak tree, lounged Fay the fox, clever and quick-eyed, her fur gleaming in the sunlight. Oliver bounded over, his voice bubbling with excitement. "Fay! You won't believe what I've found," he called, nearly tripping over a root. "It's a carrot as big as a boulder. Will you help me?" Fay tilted her head, a sly grin spreading across her face. "A carrot the size of a boulder, you say? This sounds like quite the adventure," she said, her eyes twinkling with curiosity. "I'm in." The two friends approached the carrot together, chattering and laughing, until they were joined by Boris the bear, whose deep, hearty laugh echoed through the meadow. "A giant carrot, you say?" Boris rumbled. "Well, that's something I can't resist. Count me in, friends." And so, the three of them positioned themselves around the enormous carrot. Each paw and claw dug into the soft earth, muscles tensing, hearts pounding in anticipation. Oliver took a deep breath, his whiskers twitching with excitement. 1, 2, 3. "Pull!" he shouted, his voice filled with determination and joy. They heaved with all their strength, straining against the stubborn roots. The earth trembled beneath them, the wildflowers swaying in rhythm with their efforts. Their paws slipped and scrabbled, their laughter and grunts blending with the sound of leaves rustling and birds singing above. At last, with a mighty tug and a triumphant cheer, the carrot surrendered to their combined strength. It tumbled free from the earth with a soft thud. All three friends collapsed onto the grass, panting and laughing, their hearts soaring with victory. Boris carefully carved the carrot into generous portions, and together they feasted, savoring each sweet, crunchy bite. "We make a great team," Faye said, her eyes sparkling with satisfaction. "Yes, we truly do," Oliver agreed, smiling from ear to ear. "I couldn't have done it without you both. Adventures are always better with friends." As twilight spread a golden glow across the meadow, painting the sky in shades of amber and rose, the trio sat together, bellies full and spirits soaring. The gentle breeze rustled the leaves above, carrying the scent of wildflowers and a sense of triumph. That day, they had not only conquered the legendary carrot but had also discovered the true magic of friendship, that when hearts and efforts unite, even the impossible becomes possible. And as stars began to twinkle in the velvet sky above Sunnywood Meadow, Oliver, Faye, and Boris promised to keep exploring, keep adventuring, and keep sharing their laughter and courage, knowing that together, every day held the promise of something extraordinary.
The basket of too much.
In a golden meadow, where the sun bathed the tall grasses in warm light and the air smelled faintly of wildflowers and earth, lived a small but curious mouse named Oliver. Oliver was clever and quick, but he had one flaw, a love for treats that often got the better of him. One crisp morning, as a gentle breeze rustled the leaves of nearby trees, Oliver's tiny nose twitched with excitement. He caught a scent that made his whiskers quiver with delight, the sweet, irresistible aroma of freshly harvested corn. Following his twitching nose, Oliver scurried across the meadow, his little paws barely making a sound against the soft earth. There, tucked beneath a patch of sunflowers and daisies, stood a large wicker basket, overflowing with golden corn. To Oliver, it looked like a treasure chest brimming with the most marvelous delights he could ever imagine. His tiny heart leapt in anticipation. "Oh, my whiskers! Look at all this corn! Just for me," he squeaked, bouncing on his hind legs. Without a moment's hesitation, Oliver began gnawing at the wicker, tiny teeth working furiously to make a hole just big enough for him to slip inside. Once he squeezed into the basket, Oliver's eyes grew wide with wonder. The corn shimmered like little golden gems. He nibbled one, then another, and soon he was gorging himself with abandon. Kernel after kernel vanished in his tiny paws, his belly swelling with each delicious bite. "Oh, oh! I might have taken too much," he groaned, collapsing amidst the corn, his round belly making it difficult to move. But at first, he didn't mind. He was too busy savoring every sweet, warm morsel. Then, suddenly, reality struck. Oliver realized he needed to get out. He wriggled toward the hole he had made, but his bloated belly prevented him from squeezing through. Panic rose in his chest. "Oh no! Oh no! I can't get out! What have I done?" he cried, his tiny voice echoing in the basket. From a branch above, a gentle, knowing voice called down. "Why are you crying, little one?" Oliver looked up to see Lila, a wise and patient field mouse, perched gracefully on a sunflower stem. Her eyes were kind but serious. I can't get out!" Oliver wailed, his voice trembling. "I ate too much corn, and now I'm stuck. I didn't think." Lila tilted her head, her soft whiskers twitching. "Patience, dear Oliver," she said, her voice calm yet firm. "Wait a little while. Let your belly rest, let it shrink, and then you will be able to slip free. Lessons are sometimes learned slowly, just like patience." Oliver sighed and settled down among the golden kernels. As he lay there, his eyes closing, he began to think about Lila's words. He remembered all the times he had eaten too quickly, all the times he had let greed overrule common sense. A warm, understanding feeling grew in his chest. Perhaps he could learn to enjoy treats in moderation, to take only what he needed and save the rest for others. Hours passed. The sun moved across the sky, painting the meadow in soft, shifting hues. At last, Oliver felt his belly relax. Carefully, slowly, he wriggled toward the hole and squeezed through, free at last. He breathed in the fresh meadow air, feeling gratitude fill his heart. "Thank you, Lila," he said, his voice soft but sincere. "I will remember your words. I will remember that taking too much can trap me, and that patience and moderation are treasures in themselves." Lila nodded, satisfied. "Remember this, Oliver. True wisdom comes not from avoiding temptation entirely, but from knowing your limits and acting with care." Oliver scampered away, glancing back at the basket one last time. It was no longer a treasure to be devoured recklessly, but a reminder of his folly and the lesson he had learned. Yet, in the shadows nearby, a pair of golden eyes watched him closely, a sleek, silent cat, curious and calculating, noticing the small, clever mouse who had just escaped with both his belly and his lesson intact. Oliver paused, his tiny ears twitching. Perhaps some adventures were not yet finished, but for now, he knew one thing for certain: wisdom, patience, and moderation could be the greatest treasures of all.
The feather of flight.
In the heart of Willowbrook Park, where sunlight dappled the soft grass and leaves whispered in gentle breezes, lived a small squirrel named Finley. Finley was no ordinary squirrel. While his fellow squirrels hurried busily from tree to tree, gathering acorns and checking their nests, Finley's mind was always elsewhere, dreaming of something far more extraordinary. He dreamed of flying. Of soaring high above the treetops, feeling the wind rush past him, and seeing the world from the sky, just like the birds that wheeled and dipped gracefully overhead. His little paws twitched as he imagined the sensation of gliding, his bushy tail flicking with excitement at every thought. One bright morning, as Finley leapt from a sturdy oak branch, something remarkable caught his eye, a long, shimmering feather, glinting in the sunlight. It looked as though it had been left there just for him, soft and strong, gleaming with a promise. His tiny heart leapt. "This is it," he squeaked, his voice trembling with wonder. "This feather, this must be the key to my dreams." With nimble paws, Finley tied the feather carefully to the tip of his tail, imagining the possibilities it held. He closed his eyes for a moment, took a deep, steadying breath, and then leaped from the branch, heart pounding, whiskers quivering with anticipation. For a brief, glorious instant, Finley felt it, the thrill of the wind rushing beneath him, lifting him, caressing his fur as though he were weightless. But soon, gravity reminded him of its pull, and he landed softly on the grass below, a little dazed but still filled with wonder. Nearby, perched on a high branch, Orion the wise owl observed with a knowing smile. His golden eyes gleamed kindly. "Flying takes more than just a feather, Finley," he hooted gently. "It takes courage, determination, practice, and, yes, a little touch of magic." Undeterred by his first tumble, Finley began practicing from lower branches, each leap longer than the last, each landing steadier than before. He felt the rhythm of leap and land, the dance of patience and courage filling him with determination. His friends, Lila the chipmunk and Bramble the robin, watched from nearby branches, chirping encouragements and offering playful cheers. "You can do it, Finley," they called. "Just believe." Day by day, branch by branch, Finley's confidence grew. He learned to catch the wind just right, to trust the feather, and to trust himself. And then, one perfect afternoon, the magic of the feather and the magic of his heart combined. The wind caught him fully, lifting him higher and higher. He soared over the treetops, feeling the world below turn into a blur of green, brown, and gold. Leaves whirled in the breeze, birds flew alongside him, and the sunlight sparkled on his fur. Finley laughed with pure joy, the dream he had carried in his heart finally realized. The park animals gathered below, and even children nearby gasped and cheered in awe at the flying squirrel. Finley became the beloved hero of Willowbrook Park, swooping down to greet friends and visitors, sometimes offering tiny acorns as gifts from the treetops. From his perch, Orion watched proudly, feathers ruffling in the breeze. "Never forget, Finley," he called softly, "the power of a dream and a little bit of magic can carry you higher than you ever imagined." Finley, his heart full of gratitude and wonder, twitched his whiskers and promised, "I will never forget, Orion. I will always believe in dreams, and in the magic that makes them real." From that day on, every leap, every glide, every tiny flutter of wings reminded Finley that courage, perseverance, and a little bit of magic could turn even the wildest dreams into reality.
The Hat of Wonder.
Deep in the heart of the Willowwood Forest, where sunlight danced through emerald leaves and the air hummed with birdsong, lived a squirrel named Baxter. Now, Baxter wasn't your ordinary squirrel, not by a long shot. He was cheerful, curious, and just a little bit clumsy. If there was something odd to trip over or something shiny to get distracted by, Baxter would find it. This morning was no different. The sky was painted the color of ripe peaches, and the forest floor smelled of blooming daisies and fresh moss. Baxter scurried along a twisting path, humming a little tune to himself. "Today's the day, oh yes indeed, the perfect day for a picnic of dreams," he sang, clutching his tiny wicker basket filled to the brim with his favorite treats, crunchy acorns, plump berries, and a slice of honeycomb he had found by chance near the riverbank. He darted from tree to tree, his bushy tail bouncing behind him like a fluffy flag. "Oh, what a day," he chattered, nearly tripping over a root. "Nothing beats a good picnic under the sun." Just as he reached his favorite clearing, a sunny patch surrounded by tall ferns, something unusual caught his eye. Right in the middle of the meadow sat a large, floppy hat. It was bright red, decorated with a feather that shimmered in the light. Baxter gasped dramatically. "Well, would you look at that? What a curious find! Who could have lost such a splendid hat?" Without a moment's hesitation, he dropped his basket and scampered over. "It looks lonely," he decided. "I'll give it a new home, right on my head." He plopped it on, but the hat was enormous. The brim flopped over his eyes, covering nearly his whole face. He stumbled backward, bumping into a toadstool and spinning in circles. "Oof! Oh dear! I can't see a thing! Where did the ground go?" he squeaked, staggering like a dizzy dancer. Up in the oak above, Matilda the owl, the wisest and calmest creature in the forest, watched the whole scene with great amusement. Her golden eyes twinkled as she chuckled softly. Oh heavens, it seems Baxter has found himself in another predicament. With a graceful swoop, she landed nearby. "All right, everyone," she called, her voice warm but commanding. The rabbits who had been playing tag froze mid-hop, and a family of hedgehogs poked their heads out from the bushes. "Let's bring some order to this delightful chaos, shall we?" Matilda approached Baxter, who was now tangled in a patch of wildflowers, still wearing the hat like a crown gone wrong. "My dear squirrel," she said kindly, "perhaps that hat is a tad too grand for you." Baxter peeked out from under the brim, his cheeks red with embarrassment. "I only wanted to look fancy for my picnic," he confessed sheepishly. Matilda chuckled. "Oh, Baxter, you don't need a hat to be special. Your cheerful heart already makes this forest brighter." She helped him remove the oversized hat, shaking out a few leaves that had gotten caught in it. The rabbits clapped their little paws, and the hedgehogs giggled softly. Baxter couldn't help but laugh too. "Well," he said between chuckles, "that was quite the picnic adventure, and I haven't even eaten yet." Matilda smiled, settling her wings. "Every day with you, Baxter, is an adventure. Just, perhaps next time, keep both paws on the ground." Baxter nodded eagerly, returning to his picnic blanket. As the sun dipped lower and the golden light turned to amber, he enjoyed his feast surrounded by friends, laughter echoing through the forest. And though the whimsical red hat sat quietly by the basket, every so often its feathers shimmered mysteriously, as if reminding them all that a bit of silliness and a whole lot of laughter could make even the zaniest day one to remember.